There are 4 types of watch collectors in this world: speculators, treasure hunters, accumulators, and researchers. Which one are you? This says more about you than some stupid zodiac sign, and once you know your collecting style, you can better define your approach to watches and help build a roadmap for how you want to get to your ultimate goal. Whether that's making more money, finding the rarest of the rare, or just being happy. We built this list based off of John Reardon's 4 types of collectors. John is perhaps the world's foremost expert on vintage Patek Philippe, and he's a damn good interview guest as well. We're taking his core principles and adapting them to the broader world of watch collecting. For each collector type, we're going to talk about their definitions, their strategies, specific models to look out for, and we'll distill it all down into a motto for each one. The first type of collector is the speculator. It's the most visible type of collector and also the most hated. These people are primarily focused on making a profit from their watches. You may hear them talk about watches as alternative assets.
Our watch is an asset class.
100%.
Or a bank account that tells you the time. They were everywhere during the boom period of 2019 to 2022, and those that time things right did indeed make some money in the watch game. But hey, it's a different world now. Now it's more about niche brands and models instead of blue chip brands. While modern Rolex, Patek, and AP have seen their ups and downs to say the least, many vintage watches and independent brands are still on the rise. So there are potential profits to be made on the secondary market, just requires a little more know-how. Speaking of which, everyone's wondering what the next big thing is gonna be, and here are some educated guesses. Now that Cartier is on the up and up, people are turning to Piaget as a close enough option for upside. F.P. Journe was the auction darling for many years, and now there are murmurs that early Daniel Roth, early Roger Dubuis, and even early Franck Muller could be on similar trajectories. The best way to get ahead of trends like these is to start following knowledgeable dealers and auction houses. After all, they're the ones that make a living off of trend forecasting. The motto for the speculator is that old Wall Street adage, buy, 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 sell, sell, sell. I'll quickly throw in a category here that isn't in John Reardon's list of 4. This is perhaps the most common type of collector, and we're calling it the traditionalist. These should be casual friends with only 1 or 2 watches, or these could be people with larger collections. They're more passionate than speculators, and the key factor here is that they only buy the most popular models, the icons. They started with a Datejust or a Speedmaster, then bought a Submariner, then a Royal Oak, and maybe one day they'll get an Aquanaut. It's the most popular way to collect, and the safest way, but choosing only the most inoffensive watches means it's also the least adventurous. The motto for the traditionalist is, good design never goes out of style. The treasure hunter is searching for something special. They're looking for a diamond in the rough, and they're willing to look through a lot of rough to find their diamond. This could be a specific ultra rare reference, or this could be something surprising that they just know they'll never see again. The treasure hunters are often more excited by the thrill of the chase than the actual catch. They probably have search alerts set up on 2024, and of course they love a good deal. They have a higher tolerance for patina, and are more willing to buy watches that they don't know a lot about at first. Like the people themselves, the watches on their list are often a little eccentric, with a narrow but intense appeal. The treasure hunters are more likely to buy a King Midas than a Daytona, or more likely to buy an Audemars Piguet Star Wheel than a Royal Oak. Hell, they may even buy a pocket watch if it speaks to them. Funnily enough, in today's watch market, perhaps the best way to be a speculator is to be a bit of a treasure hunter. For example, Universal Genève could be a bigger deal 6 months from now than it was 6 months ago. The motto for the treasure hunter is, bet you've never seen one of these before. The accumulator is kind of what it sounds like. These people buy more watches than they need, more than anyone needs, and they often buy multiple of the same watch or nearly identical watches with only minor differences. Some of you may remember the Bonhams auction a couple years ago featuring 11 Hulk Submariners, all from the same guy. He bought a Hulk at retail every year for 11 years, and didn't even wear any of them. Many people have a rough limit for how many watches they own at one time. Maybe you only have space for 10 watches in your watch box. So that's the ceiling, like a one in, one out kind of system. Not these guys. I have a watch collector friend. He doesn't exactly call himself collector, oddly enough, but he does have over 1,000 watches. The interesting thing is that these types most often buy all these watches to keep, not to sell. And it's only when they pass away that we see their entire collections come up to auction, including some pieces that nobody knew they had and some that no one's ever seen before. The motto for the accumulator is simple. More is more. Or maybe gotta catch them all, what's that from? Our last type is the researcher. They dive deep into old auction catalogs and study vintage watch advertisements. They're on page 50 of the internet forums, and they read specialized sites like On the Dash or the Polrata reference website. They have an encyclopedic knowledge of reference numbers, production distributions, serial numbers, and know random facts about brands that haven't existed for decades. They probably even know who the case maker, movement maker, and bracelet maker are for their favorite watches. They are high-octane nerds who read much more than they shop. Now, the difference between a treasure hunter and a researcher is where the motivation comes from. While the treasure hunter leads with the heart, the researcher leads with the mind. The researchers often hone in on a particular brand or model, and like PhD students, they know a lot about a little. They are valuable friends to have because they'll find value in watches that everyone else might overlook. They'll point out obscure chronographs hiding calibers from Heuer, Lamania, or Valjoux, and they're the types that turn you on to Gallet watches, Longines 13ZN chronographs, or vintage Movado. The motto for the researchers is collect knowledge before you collect watches. I'd say I'm 50% treasure hunter, 25% accumulator, 25% researcher, and 0% speculator, for better or for worse. Which category or categories do you fall into, and what other types of collectors are out there? Let us know in the comments below. I'm Thomas Hendricks, Chrono 24 in New York City. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.